Welcome. Thank you for this remote interview. Your request has been approved to not have any video during this interview due to your physical appearance being shocking or disturbing. But note that your appearance will in no way prevent you from obtaining this position. You also requested that this interview be remote due to your current location being classified, and you do not want us to find you in the case that this interview does not go well. Now, being a secret organization, business bureau, we are familiar with this and understand the request. Please note that I am trained in dealing with cryptids of all kinds and have a certification in cryptozoology. This is what we do, and it is very important for us to protect the identity and preservation of cryptids. This is not my first interview with a cryptid, and you being of a different species does not prevent you from obtaining this position in any manner. The main concerns we have whenever interviewing a cryptid is whether they will be in danger within this position or a danger to others. Especially in regards to self-control, we do not allow the devouring or harm to occur to other employees, personnel, targets, or bystanders, or company property. If you have any concerns with that, please let me know now. Otherwise, I can continue this interview. If you do have a problem or concern, we can conclude this interview right away before we go any further. I respect your time, and I would think that you would respect my time as well to let me know now if there's any concerns with potential dangers to other employees, personnel, targets, bystanders, or company property. Thank you. As much as I would appreciate you being able to turn on your camera, I can understand and respect your decision. If you are unwilling at this time to present yourself on camera. If we do have a second interview, please make note that you will need to undergo a physical examination for this hybrid position, and that you will need to be seen by a certain classified category of agents. This is a hybrid position in that part of it would be remote, part of it would be in person or in the field. Yes. No, it doesn't require that you're a hybrid cryptid species. That's not what this is about. This is the first interview. There will be more if you pass our criteria. This interview is being recorded, and I will be typing extensive, sometimes excessive notes regarding this interview and your answers, so do not be alarmed by me typing extensive, or as some might say, excessive notes. We will be asking primarily personality and behavioral questions, and then if time permits, end with some of the yes or no, and then if things are going particularly well, we'll end with some deal breakers. However, those would most likely be in a second interview. How did you hear about the position? Being from a remote position as you are in a classified location, I'm surprised that you have that strong of a internet access. So what do you know about the company? So how did you find out about this position, this secret organization? Interesting. Really? So knowing that, why did you want to work for this organization? That is a cool story. And if you obtain this position, what are your career aspirations? That's interesting. So you used to work in the mailroom, really? Then what happened? You were banished. That seems like a harsh word. But is that so you are in hiding, but also relocated from your previous position? Are you comfortable with travel? Do you have any valid licenses or permits, passports, any of that sort, or would you need a identity to be provided to you to access those items? No, it does not disqualify you from this position. It just makes another possible barrier. But we are a secret organization, bureau, business. We're used to overcoming those kinds of obstacles. We deal well with bureaucracy. We make a lot of the rules and regulations, thus we know all of the ways around them. So, what new skills, talents, or experience do you hope to get from being here? So what is your best skills or strengths? Really? So the cold never bothered you anyway? How does that work then? All right. And what is your greatest weakness? You don't like dealing with people. Can you elaborate on that? Can you give a previous work experience when working with someone else or conflict resolution was required and you had a disagreement? So people think that you're aloof and that you give them the cold shoulder. Interesting. And how are you working on that? Well, that's good. Would you say that you know how to chill then? Well, when you're working with a new team of individuals, how do you get to know people? How do you make that connection and that bond? Well, with this position, being in the field, it is very important that you are relying on each other and taking direction, following instructions and orders as given. If there's tension, especially with different personalities of the sort, then that can disrupt, especially in a stressful situation. So with that being stated, and that understanding of the requirement of the position, how do you work on overcoming those barriers and making connection? You like to start with an icebreaker. That makes sense. And what is your greatest professional triumph or achievement? So this goes back to your time in the mailroom. So tell me a story about how luck played a role in your life. So, what is your secret superpower or guru skill? What are you exceptional at that most people can't compete with? The thing that you can do that most can't? Truly, I knew that you were resistant to that, but that you actually have control over those environments. So would it be a form of cryokinesis? You know, similar to Snow Miser or Captain Cold, Jack Frost, Todoroki, Iceman, Elsa, Blizzard, Mr. Freeze, Demeter. The list just goes on and on. We could be here all day. There's such a variety of different powers and abilities that come with that understanding of cryokinesis. Can you elaborate more on the extent of capability and of this power? Well, that's no joke. Now, as far as as I mentioned, ability to control this to prevent damage to individuals, bystanders, other personnel, company property, how would you describe your ability to fully control this? Now, would that happen often? I see. And is this common for you, or is this an unusual adaptation that has developed. I mean, does other individuals of your kind develop these powers as well, or is this particularly unique to you for some reason? I did mention that my notes would be extensive and excessive at times, yes. So, what are your hobbies, interests, or special skills? You like making ice cones. I see. Well, what are you passionate about? What do you obsess over? What are you addicted to? What do you think about nonstop, days on end? What can you never get enough of? What consumes your very being that you live, eat, breathe to become, devour, and destroy because you crave the information and expertise in that field that your curiosity can never be satisfied and satiated with? So, what is your preferred learning style? Hands on. That's good. And being as you would be working remote and in person, what is your. How quickly do you adapt to new technology? What is your preferred technology? Well, can you give me an example of the last time you had to learn a new program or piece of software? Interesting. Tell me about a time when you failed and how did how did you handle failure? So, would you say that you have a tendency to get cold feet? So, how did you learn from that? Well, can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with stress, both short term and long term, especially in high paced, high pressure situations? And so you do interact with other people of your kind. I did not realize that you knew each other. That's interesting. Do you get to travel to Scotland often? Do you feel that there's a language barrier or communication difficulty in. Well, moving on. Tell me about a time when you successfully persuaded and motivated someone to see it your way? So what is your favorite year that you have been alive? If you could rename any of the months of the year, which one would you rename and what would you rename it? So what is something that you always forget exists? Really? You don't have that where you are? I can see time zones can possibly be confusing when working remote. Do you have any problems with adapting your sleep schedule so that you could be able to work with someone in a different time zone? What is under your bed? What is your phone number backwards? Do you have any allergies? Do you like animals? What is your favorite animal? Why? Why that animal? Reminds you of a friend. Okay. What is your favorite oxymoron? Freezer burn. Okay. I like it. Why? Something so cold that it feels hot. Have you ever thought about or wished that you would fall asleep and not wake up? Can you keep a secret? Well, then I don't think I need to ask the next question. I think that well answers a few questions with that. And it is very important dealing with a secret organization, bureau, business, and dealing with the secret information that you would be privileged to, especially being in the field and knowing what you already know about the protection of cryptids. I think that it's very important that you carry over that information and the ability to keep that information secret, even from other personnel in the field that you work with, seeing as some of that is very privileged and pertinent information, but also keeping their privacy and confidentiality is critical as well. Have you lied in this interview? If you could start your career over again, knowing what you know now, and being what you are, what would you have done differently? Why should we not hire you? Interesting. So when you say hot-headed individuals. What exactly do you mean by that? Lot of people have different interpretations of what hot-headed or... Okay. And when you say a lukewarm disposition, so what is something that you've completed from the very beginning, start to finish? Is that something that you do often? So when you're building that, assembling it, do you prefer to use a carrot or a button? I see. So you are a scarf over a pipe person. Okay. Really? That large? Were there any complications with animating such a large structure like that? I know structures. Well, is it alive? Interesting. How much autonomy does it develop? Why do you think it developed that disposition? That's a difficult choice. All right. Do you have a license to carry a concealed weapon? What is your experience with weaponry, guns, ammunition, or explosives? I see. That does make sense. Would you disobey a direct order? What about one that puts you or others in danger? All right. And how do you deal with conflicting instructions, procedures, or direct orders? All right. How do you fight a vampire? So you say that you're... What would you describe yourself as? Cold-blooded. And how would you fight a being of the undead, or most commonly known as a zombie? How would you fight a ghoul? And how would you fight a ghost? Well, then how would you fight a mummy? Could you elaborate on that? Let's say that you had to fight them and that this was a individual that you were not working for. Well, then how would you fight a dragon? Yes, a fire-breathing dragon. Let's say a large fire-breathing dragon. And when you say a delicate touch, what do you mean? All right, and I don't want to seem insensitive when I ask this, but how would you fight a Yeti? Is that an offensive term? I did not understand. What term would you prefer? All right, and how would you then fight an abominable snowman? Abominable is also offensive. I see. Is there a better? I will just make note of that and make sure that our HR department is well aware that there is a memo sent out in case for future reference. And do you have any questions for me? I see. Well, then, can you pass a background check, both federal and state? I will just put down an A for that. Can you pass a physical and psychiatric examination? They are similar to military requirements. Yes, we can make accommodations for that and exceptions where they don't align with human biology, seeing as you are, again, of a special nature. We do make those exceptions. That is classified. I cannot disclose that, similarly as you could not disclose other information. It would not be pertinent to your position, your field, and you would not need to know. Yes. Any other questions? No, that is classified. That also is classified. Yes, we do have a fully stocked freezer in the break room. We do have a walk-in freezer. Yes, you could have access to it as a break room. Yes, we can make that accommodation. Any other questions? All right. Well, then, thank you for your time. If you don't mind, please leave a comment with the front desk. Yes, I see. You please, if you have any questions, any concerns, email me. Leave a comment. Let us know. You will hear back from us. You'll probably receive an email. If the after reviewing this, we will. Yes, we're going to review this information. You'll get an email. If the email is good and pertinent, it will have the next scheduled remote interview. Does that make sense? Well, it's good to snow your place and keep things from snowballing and skating out of control. Yes. Well, thank you and have an iced day.